Hello one and all. Today I have a really lovely reading for you on this very auspicious day of July the 7th. So we're 7/7, it's a portal. And I thought this was a good day to do the last in the videos inspired by the French road trip. So today's reading is inspired and going to be all about the beautiful Jacob's Mussel, which is the scallop shell, which is this shell, these shells that you find on the seashore, Jacob's Mussel. Now, if you look at the thumbnail to the video, you'll see there's a beautiful symbol of the Jacob's Mussel in a beautiful blue background with a mussel on it, which is also obviously the sign of the pilgrim. So I'm going to be talking all about that in the video. So that thumbnail is from the medieval city of Chartres in France. If you're ever in Chartres in France, you need to go into this building, this wonderful medieval cathedral, which is at the top of the city, top of the hill in the city of Chartres. That building is phenomenal and was a place of pilgrimage. People through the centuries and through hundreds of years, 400s of years, have made their way to that cathedral. So I'm going to talk all about Jacob's Mussel, the scallop shell, what it means. But that we visited Chartres Cathedral on, I think, about June the 6th. So it was right at the beginning of the French road trip, and on the lovely medieval cobbled streets of the city, you would find this lovely emblem or this sign of Jacob's Mussel. And on that thumbnail, it's a beautiful blue background with the sign of the scallop shell or the mussel, or the sign of the pilgrim, if you like, on that. And that was at the base of, I don't know, dozens of stairs, might have even been a couple of hundred stairs right up to the cathedral. And so I'm going to really talk about the Jacob's Mussel. I think it's Coquille Saint-Jacques in French. My French is a bit dodgy, so please correct me in the comments if that's wrong. Give me the right pronunciation, let me know. I think it's Coquille Saint-Jacques. Anyway, so let's do a reading on this. I've wanted to do it for a while, and today has presented itself as the right day, the 7th of July, 7/7, a really, really lucky day, and also a portal, if you like. So, Jacob's Mussel. It's the sign of the pilgrim, and we are going to pull cards later just for more information, but it's just this idea and this belief and this knowledge that we're all pilgrims on this journey of life. And the sign of the scallop shell here is the medieval sign of the pilgrim, and I'll talk a bit more about that in detail in relation to pilgrimages. And in fact, as you know, if you've listened to other videos on this channel more recently, the French road trip was a pilgrimage for me. It was me going on a pilgrimage to Lourdes to say thank you to the Virgin Mary, the Mother of God, Mother of Jesus. If you believe that, and I do, take what resonates, and if you don't let it disturb the video, that's fine. To say thank you for helping me with my Irish passport. My second name is Bernadette, and it was important for me, and it remains important as part of my own heritage, to go and say thank you for that. So that's what my pilgrimage was about. So I was on a pilgrimage, and so in a way, the last video on the French road trip being about the Jacob's Mussel, Coquille Saint-Jacques, scallop shell, it kind of makes sense in a way. But I want to say that we're all on our life path, we're all on a pilgrimage. through this life. And I just really felt drawn to do this reading today, so I hope you enjoy it. Quick housekeeping before we get into this. If you like what you hear here, please subscribe. I'm trying to grow the channel. Tell friends and family if they're going to be interested. Come and have a look. And this is really meant to be a place for you, sacred space. It's to do with esoteric, divination, connecting to energy and the divine. And I think that gets through. So it's a safe place here, and everyone is welcome. Okay, so without further ado, let's proceed. We have the Jacob's Mussel reading, is what I'm going to call this. So it was the pilgrim's sign for many generations. By the way, and apropos, if you've ever read the book, well, I recommend you go and read the book, Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. I have read bits of it. I haven't read it from cover to cover, which I really ought to do. But the bits I read were phenomenal. And that was written in the, someone's going to correct me, I'm sure it's wrong, 15-something, 16-something, could even be 14-something, hundreds of years ago. This wise John Bunyan wrote about the journey of the pilgrim, what it means to be human, what it means to move along the life path, the path we've been given in this life. And apropos, how lucky we are to be doing this. How we relate to other people, how we relate to ourselves. And particularly for me on this channel, a reflection of that is in the energetic signals that we give out, not only in the actions and the words we say, but also in the thoughts that we think. And so I'll be going into that in a bit more detail. So the thumbnail is really the scallop shell. I think it's on its side. Such a beautiful image, so beautiful, and just wild bit of nature that anyone can find on the beach, although not on all beaches, I guess. So the pilgrim symbol of particularly Camino de Santiago, Santiago de Compostela. Now, I had some friends a few years back who make part of that journey in Spain. They came back changed people. And it's something I'd like to do one day, or at least a part of it. It is meant to be life-changing, and I think it is. It helps us be still, I think, and discover parts of ourselves that we didn't know. And it's particularly about our connection with fellow man and mankind, and how we are with them. And so the Camino de Santiago, it would be, this shell would come to represent, and indeed represents, the pilgrim symbol. The other name for the Camino de Santiago is the Way of St. James. Santiago is Spanish for St. James. So that might be something that resonates for you. It might be a saint or an ascended master that you are linked to. You might have James in your family name, or it may just be relevant to you. The Way of St. James. And really, the Jacob's Mussel, or the scallop shell, is what it is it's a symbol of faith. I mean, particularly, yes, we can say in a religious sense, but also in a non-religious way. And, you know, I will sometimes mention things related to Christianity here, but also related to other things in this channel, paganism, or the way of the earth. So I cover a lot of different thoughts and ideas, and if you don't hold on to a particular belief system, that's fine. Okay. So symbol of faith, linked to Christianity, but also not linked to Christianity. It's also meant to be a very, very big symbol for luck, resurrection, protection and knowledge, Resurrection in that sense that perhaps there were parts of ourselves that were lost and have been found, or that we rise above the adversity that life puts on our life path, sometimes in the way of situations, sometimes in the way of people and how they are, sometimes in the way of circumstances, all or some of which is in our control, but mostly isn't in our control. It's finding your way along life's path when you don't have much control. But there are different ways and perspectives of looking at that. So the symbol of faith, very lucky, resurrection and protection and knowledge. And it was that pilgrims, when they had this as their symbol, did feel protected. I did read somewhere in the literature, and I read some background before I did today's video as well, is that they would also, the pilgrims who used this on the journey, would use it as a bowl for food and also for water, for drinking. So it became quite a, a practical utensil. And I want to think of this video as a little bit of practical help and assistance, just furthering knowledge around this really interesting subject of Jacob's Mussel and the way of the pilgrim, which we all are. In this aspect, we are all equal. We are all finding our way on life's journey. Otherwise, we wouldn't be tuning into this space. But of course, this space, I like to think, and know in fact, is viewed by those who are beyond the life space in this dimension, if you like. For example, be one of my spirit guides, my main girl. So it's the pilgrim shell, and the beginning of the journey was, as I understand it, reading the literature, and this is way back, pre-Roman, very long time ago, was at the Temple of Venus. So that's interesting in itself, isn't it? So Venus is one of the planets that is in our solar system. And so Venus is also connected to love. And it's also particularly linked to the signs, the zodiac signs of Taurus and Libra. So look in your charts, if you have your natal chart and you know your placements, see if you have any placements in Taurus or Libra. I think I've got Taurus. I might be, if it's South Node or North Node, I should know, shouldn't I? And Libra, I think I've got a tiny bit of Libra. My other half is Libra, so that's very important for me in my life. And actually my Venus in my birth chart is ruled by Scorpio. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Do forgive me, it is the season of pollen and I haven't taken an antihistamine today, so that might be responsible for sneezikins. Sorry about that. Apologies if that was very loud. Yeah, my Venus placement is Scorpio, so that's also my sun sign. So we're saying that the beginning of the pilgrim's journey was at the Temple of Venus. So Venus is critical in this reading. Venus is about love. And it says to me, when we know that all things begin with love. That's the message I get from that. And so I want to give that to you. By the way, I'll be channeling as we go through the video. So I'll give those messages to you as they come up. So the words I've written here is the pilgrim's way, the way of St. James. It begins with love. And in that sense, I think it does all begin with love. The life starts with love. One hopes, anyway. Anyway, they journeyed along to the place that they wanted to get to, the way of St. James, Camino de Santiago. And what I like particularly about the St. James way and about the scallop shell and about this is this. Many paths lead to one point. In this case, it's the cathedral. Okay. Many paths lead to one point. Many paths lead to one point. There's something very, very interesting and symbolic in that. You know, on a very general level, I'm picking up from that there's many ways to reach your goal, to perhaps reach a place of peace, reach a place of love. If love is at the beginning, somewhere along the path, love may have been lost through life events, life experiences, lived experiences. And it may be that we go on pilgrimages to reclaim the love that's lost. We've all, if we've lived a human life, loved and lost love. But when we've worked on our inner self, addressed the shadow aspects, sought help internally first for our inner self, our higher self, he or she will always guide us in the purest, most divine way. And then also externally, by whichever means, with friends, with family, and sometimes family are friends if people don't have family or have lost family, with passed on loved ones, ancestors, and with other ways of connecting. And I include in that humans as well as animals. So many paths to the same point. And I love that because literally, practically, would be pilgrims coming from all over the world, taking different routes to get to the cathedral at the end. And that's the same for any pilgrimage. Obviously the same at Lourdes. We came from Somerset in the southwest UK, made our way down through the Pyrenees and that beautiful road trip to Lourdes. In fact, Lourdes wasn't our most southerly point. It was the main reason for the trip and the main focal point, but we, as you know, did many other things on the way and on the way back. The most southerly point being Béziers on the south coast of France. You can't get more south than that. If you do, you're in the sea. So many paths to one point, in this case the cathedral, but it's the metaphor, guys. What this is saying is we have many different ways of getting to where we need to be. And it obviously goes without saying, but I'll say it, that sometimes we're on a path that we think is aligned or the right path, then something will happen or obstacles are placed in the way that we need to circumnavigate. Or sometimes we're guided to leave that path and just go to an adjacent path. It will also represent the fact that we will be guided and protected along the way, but that we will travel along that path. Some people and some souls will be with us the whole way, some a large part of the way, some the last part of the way, and some are only meant to join us for certain parts of our life path. And then they divide and separate. They go their way, we go our way. And that's okay. That's okay. And that's normal. I think that's how it's meant to be in that sense. And in that sense, we're learning from each other through life experiences. And then at some point, the lesson is learned or the knowledge is exchanged, or somehow they might have been wrapped up in a karmic situation, or we were. And it did what it said on the tin. And then we're off to a different path. So many paths to one point, the cathedral. And so the cathedral, I want you to think about what that might be for you. Does it mean an aligned life? Does it mean a happy life? Does it mean a peaceful life, a life of peace where there's no conflict. And that's quite hard at the moment, isn't it? Particularly in the macro level of the world, where there seems to be a lot of fighting, conflict, death, torment, loss, particularly of the innocent, who shouldn't be involved in that. But also at the micro level, at our own level, in that we travel through this life and negotiate twists and turns, and then sometimes there's a period of smooth sailing. It's a 6 of Swords moment, if you like. We're going from choppy waters and we've just reached a part where it's smooth sailing ahead. Oh boy, doesn't that feel good? So many paths to one point. So we decide perhaps what our cathedral is. What is it we want to get to? And as they say, perhaps the travelling and the journey is more important than the ultimate destination. That may be true. I don't know if that's a truism. I certainly know that the journeys that we make are very valuable because they make up the DNA of our life path, of this soul in this journey. And that's really important. Sometimes we need to be still and take stock of that, of everything that we've been through, that we've achieved, if that's important. But often it's the way that we got to achieve a thing that becomes more important than the thing itself. But you must decide for yourself. So what I love about Jacob's mussel, the scallop shell, at the journey's end, it says here from my notes, the pilgrims were supposed or should throw their shell into the sea. I love that. At the end of the journey, throw the shell back into the sea. And it was around the area of, is it the Italian coast? Spanish coast. Finisterre was the place where they were supposed to throw their Jacob's mussel, Coquille Saint-Jacques, into the sea. And they did this as a gesture of thanks for the protection they had along the way. I love that. It reminds me of ashes to ashes, dust to dust, shells back to the sea, whence they came. It kind of makes sense in a way. And that feels right, that feels good. Returning it to the sea as a token of gratitude. And it just puts me in mind of the daily gratitude moment that I try and do most days, and that it just gets the day started off on a really peaceful note. I don't remember it all the time, but it's something that might be beneficial or help you. So take what resonates and leave the rest, as we say. So gratitude, gestures of thanks for the protection along the way, that really does resonate. And what I would say on the back of that is to make sure and take time to step in and do those things, do the gratitude or the thanks moment to your team in spirit, your spiritual team, your guides, your ancestors, those who were your loved ones who've passed on, those who came before you and who passed, to whose DNA was passed on to you, and with whom and without you wouldn't be here. So there's a sort of a reverence and a remembrance of that, of gratitude. There's also something, I think, when we think about the scallop shell being thrown back into the sea at that point, Finisterre, gesture of thanks for the protection along the way. There's an echo in that gesture that feels very divine and really right, but also speaks of, at the end, we all go back to source energy. That's certainly my belief, and I mustn't put my beliefs on those who are watching. But for me, that certainly feels true. That the energy that is contained in this life when I get to the end of my life and the body is gone, the journey here is done, the energy continues. As we know from physics, energy cannot be destroyed. And I do believe that it goes back into source energy, or what I lovingly like to call sometimes the giant teacup of energy, cosmic energy, from which we all come and which we periodically go back into, depending on what you believe and if you believe in reincarnation and all these things. So I like that. There's an echo of that in throwing the scallop shell back into the sea at Finisterre at the end of the pilgrimage. Okay, so that's the background and the history for Coquille Saint-Jacques, Jacob's Mussel. Let us pull some information. I'm going to use the Radiant Wise Tarot. I've shuffled. I'm going to use Kim Cran's. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Radiant Wise. I never know exactly who did it. Wait, Arthur Edward Waite, Pamela Coleman Smith. Yeah. And then we're going to have some wonderful charms from the charming bag. Let's start with some mini tarot. Spirit, please may we have a little bit of information that you'd like to add to this wonderful Jacob's Mussel reading on this 7/7 portal, 7th of July 2025. I've just realised, guys, it's 3 7s. 25 this year is also 7. 7, 7, 7. You might want to go away and look up that as an angel number, either 7 or 77 or 707. T7. 777. Please may we have a card to grace this wonderful reading. And guys, sorry, I forgot to say that I pre-smudged the area with sweetgrass. Beautiful, thank you, thank you. Sweetgrass, and also the crystal gracing and protection is Snowflake Obsidian. That's following me round at the moment. I don't know why, I just feel called to do that. Of course, we have a beautiful, beautiful symbol of, I mean, I feel it's protection, but it's clarity of thought. It is the Ace of Swords. This, my friends, is beautiful. They say triumph, the highest degree obtainable in any field, and conquest. So I love this. We have the crown, which is clear thought, the crown chakra. And swords represent clarity and the mental plane. Anyway, thoughts, clear thoughts, a gift from the universe. And as I remember it, there's a palm frond and an olive frond. Not sure what the palm frond means. I used to know, but I've forgotten, sorry. But the olive frond is obviously peace. Palm frond. I'll look it up. If I find it, I'll put it in the description box below. Wow. Swing. As Gemstone Tarot says, if you haven't watched her channel, go and find her out. I'll put her link below. She's amazing. Swing, she always says when she's talking about the Ace of Swords. Cutting through the bullshit and the detritus. Clarity of thought. Everything that isn't worthy of you and your energy falls away. You don't even need to do anything. It will fall away automatically. This is me simulating holding the sword. Perfect. I love that. Well, it gave all the words in relation to that. At the bottom of the deck, isn't that funny? 6 of Swords, I mentioned it in the reading. Moving away from choppy waters into clear waters. 6 of Swords. This is what you are achieving, guys. And at the top, the King of Wands. Wow, okay. King of Wands, who looketh into the future. And what I want to say is all the energies are interchangeable. I mean, it says the King of Wands, but masculine, feminine, however you want to take it. Yeah. Cordial man, honest, conscientious, unexpected inheritance. Yeah. Inheritance can be knowledge, can be, of course, practical Pentacles and that kind of thing. I feel this is you. It makes sense. Calmly sitting there on his throne with his wand, looking to the future. For me, he's looking left, and as we know, those who follow me on Two for Joy Oracle, the left is the future, the right is the past. In his beautiful, beautiful down, he looks relaxed and calm, peaceful and authoritative. And all over the card, over his throne, at the back, and running by his feet are salamanders, which are very lucky. They are lucky. Lucky reptiles. Okay. Thank you, Spirit. Ace of Swords. So let us turn to Kim. Kim, anything else to add to the Jacob's Mussel reading on this 777 portal? Yeah. 3 sevens. Woohoo! Ka-ching! Very lucky day for me. Where we talked about and we remembered. Oh, I like that. Thank you. Of course, it's got to be a 7 at the end of it. I'm going to have to refer to Kim's book because it's a new deck and I don't know what everything means off by heart. Oh my God, I love this. Okay, this is beautiful. Let me just show that card to you first. The Ring. I want you to scry, to determine, to look at that. Take a moment, relax. See what you make of it. What I'm getting is the eye of the universe looks upon you. Is it this way? Could even be that way. Looks that way. But anyway, the eye of the universe gazes upon you with love. It sees what you're doing and it confirms that it loves it and it supports you always anyway. The Ring. There's also what I'm getting here. Let me reach for a pointer. Let's get Green's wand with the amethyst. Hello, Green. What goes around comes around. What goes around comes around. What goes around comes around. And so it is. Be aware of that. Remember that. Think pure thoughts. Be calm. Avoid conflict. Give love. Even if there are adverse situations. Sorry, that squawking and squeaking in the garden is a beautiful baby jackdaw, which I love. He's always the first one to wake us in the morning, along with his friend, the baby rook, which has a very, very lovely, loud, sharp caw. That's him in my neighbour's contortia willow tree. So you're gazed upon by the eye of the universe. The ring is also the vow. It's the vow you have with the universe, with your guides and your spirit guides. It's also the vow that you have with God or Jesus or Gaia or Buddha or whoever you believe in or whatever you believe in, with Mother Earth and with yourself. There's something powerful about the vow. There is another card that's called the vow. I have seen that. In fact, that came out in the pre-shuffle, but this is what's coming to me now. It's about the cycles of life and your relationship and your vow to yourself. Your vow to yourself. Hold yourself in the highest love. Value yourself. Know how worthy you are. You are worth so much, and the universe sees you and values you. Regardless of what you have or haven't done, you are loved unconditionally. So this is about unconditional love. And it's encouraging you to also have unconditional love for yourself. That may take time and nurture and inner work, which it does for most of us, me included. So let's see what Kim says. I'm getting yellows and greens, but quite a lot of red. So it may be that root chakra, bit of orange there, and sacral chakra may need some clearance, or you may need to do a meditation and tune into those chakras for more information as well. So bear with me whilst I find what Kim says about the ring, the places, the cells, well, it won't be that. The places, will it be that? The tools, oh, it'll be the tools, won't it? There we are. Oh, that's amazing. So the page number that describes this is 222, which is 6, which is a very powerful forward-moving number, as in the 6 of Swords, literally moving from troubled waters to smooth. But 222 is a very, very lucky number for myself. And it may be to numbers of you out there watching this video. So let's see what Kim wants to say about the ring. Here we go. Okay. The infinite, the wheel, the connection. There we go. We said, didn't we, what goes around comes about. And so it's the wheel. In a way, it's probably the wheel of fortune. Yeah. 57. Yeah. 57. There's a 7 again. The ring is an image of connectedness rather than life. Viewing life as a linear, as a series of progressive achievements, the ring challenges us to sense the cyclical, the infinite nature of our world and experiences. So she's talking about cycles. Connectedness, humility, sacred cycles. Oh, I love that. And what else does she say? She says, study images of the mandala, the Unus Mundus, the Ouroboros. Oh yeah, that's the serpent that eats its tail, Ouroboros. And the medicine wheel. So she's bringing us to the cycles of life here. And in a way, I feel that that fits very well with this reading when we're talking about many paths to one point. And those paths will lead us to cycles, beginning and ends of cycles. And so that's important to know. Thank you, Kim. And thank you, Radiant Wise Tarot. Let's get some charms. We have the Ace of Swords and the ring. I'm going to take out a couple here. Well, I'm going to take one with the left hand, one with the right hand. Left is the heart of the matter, the right is the periphery of the matter. May we have a symbol. Thank you, thank you. That's nice. That's funny, that's been coming out so much for me recently, I have to laugh. Because it's a repeated message, okay. And one for the periphery, thank you very much, thank you very much. Thank you. Oops. Oh, we get 2 for the periphery. Okay. So the one for the heart of the matter is the astronaut. I keep wanting to call it a cosmonaut, but it's the astronaut. Only because I really link with that word cosmos. And he's looking for me on the left, into the future. So the cosmonaut, the astronaut, is, well, it can mean different things. I mean, the downloads I'm getting today are, this person is literally one with the universe. They're in the universe. They're out in the Milky Way. They're out in the heavens. And we kind of all are, even though we're here on Earth. We're still part of a solar system. We're still part of a universe. Still part of a multiverse, or, whatever we want to call it. Infinitely connected to all. And that's really what she was saying, Kim Krans was saying, in the interconnectedness of all things. For some of you out there, I'm only getting this perhaps for 1 or 2, you may feel as though you've been jettisoned into space, and you feel a little bit disconnected. That's only for 1 or 2 of you out there. You don't feel connected to yourself or those around you truly, and you never have. It's a little element. It might really only be for 1 person. But I think for the majority of checking in here to this video is the interconnectedness that we have to all things, which is what we said before, wasn't it? let's work on the purity and the clarity. Everything we say, everything we do, even everything we think has consequences in that sense. Let's make it divine, make it light, and for the good of all, not just ourselves. Let's not move through life with our own agenda, for we are all interconnected, and what we do, think and say affects everyone around us as well as ourselves, for all time. Wow, that's a bit of a biggie. So the other charms, periphery of the matter, so on a smaller level, that's more the macro level, the astronaut, we have a mini lightning bolt. Something's coming in quick. That's what that means. Maybe a quick change. Something may come in quickly, something may leave quickly. Pitching lightning bolt, followed by the very beautiful hummingbird. This is such a beautiful tiny creature, and the hummingbird looks also into the future, looking to the left. When I get the hummingbird, either in my Storm Raven 3-word divine affirmation deck or as a symbol here, it's really talking about lightness of being. Go lightly through life, not with heaviness. And again, we're kind of reflecting on words, thoughts, deeds. Actions have reactions. We're connected to everything. Go lightly. What I'm getting there is wear your life lightly, as this little creature has tiny, tiny body, tiny wings, and needs real balance, steadiness, and gentle power to be able to access the nectar of the plants from which it feeds. So there's something about balance. Go lightly and be balanced as well. Okay, lovely souls. Oh wow, I've really loved this reading. The Jacob's Mussel, the sign of the pilgrim. We're all pilgrims in this life, and we're all on a journey. And may we take time to reflect on the paths, on those we meet, those that come in, those that leave, situations, opportunities that are gifted to us, and may we connect with each other in a light way, or almost as it says here, the way of St. James. If we could make that a way of light, not only light as in let's travel lightly, step lightly, but also the way of light as in the light of the universe, the light of the divine, on this amazing 777 portal today. I've so enjoyed doing this video, making this video for everyone. Take what resonates, leave the rest. Read it, view it today, or it may be that you want to view it in a few days. Although I think the energy and the messages for the next few days is kind of what I'm feeling for this one, guys. This really was the last video for the French road trip. My next one will be in the week, and it's probably going to be also part 7 of the signs, symbols and synchronicities. I was going to do that one today, but this one was told to me that it should be happening now. As you know, when you channel and work with divine energies, you need to go with the flow and do what you're guided to do. So I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed doing this video for you. I'll see you again soon, my friends. Take care and bye for now.